presentation of HBO Sports. To truly appreciate where we are, let's start again at the very beginning. On the other side of the world. On streets where a boy sat every day for hours, peddling whatever he could find for spare change, desperate. It makes more sense in his case, even if his beginning came on streets that offered hardly any more promise. The craft was a family business. A comfort with conflict was embedded in his blood. Fame and fortune in view at much closer range. But from these contrasting origins, in these early years of the 21st century, twin superstars were born. Propelled by belief in very different deities.
My name is Money Mayweather.
Guided by sages of very different dispositions. They circled each other, as fighters tend to do. Their brilliance at once tantalizing you and testing your patience. Champion of the world! Until, at last, you might say boxing's latest miracle arrived.
Come on, let's go.
The most beautiful truth of the sport is that it reveals everything about the men who engage in it. Their objectives, their priorities, the dreams they still harbor, regardless of what they've already achieved.
All work! Dedication! All work! Dedication!
This is the story of one man's long path to It was in early March when the dream of boxing fans everywhere finally encased itself in reality.
The red carpet is often associated with the Oscars, but today it's been laid out for two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, two of boxing's finest, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao.
And this is just the PR build-up to the big fight, and there's so much more to come.
Have you been pushed by people to get them tickets for the fight?
A lot.
Really?
Everyone wants tickets. It's a big fight, the biggest fight in the sport of boxing.
There's been so much pent-up anticipation now for the better part of a decade. People waiting for this fight, people hoping for this fight. I think I speak for most people when I say we were not optimistic that it would ever happen.
From a Hollywood red carpet to more traditional entrances, the scene in Los Angeles that day at once maintained elements of the familiar and the surreal. After so many false starts, so many doubts, so much intrigue, the two best fighters in boxing, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, were finally on a stage together.
Hello, world. Welcome to this amazing moment in boxing and sports history. We're very excited to be officially announcing the biggest boxing event in the history of the sport.
Everybody said, hey, with the animosity, with the camps, you'll never get this done. But that's not true. We're all part of this boxing family, and we're all so proud to be able to present this event.
I've been looking forward for this for a long, long time. I'm going to get my fighter as ready as possible. We are in the toughest fight of our life. We're fighting the best fighter in the world, and we're going to kick his ass. I'm sorry, but good luck, Floyd.
I want to let the people know that there is God who can raise from someone from nothing into something. And that's me. That's me. I came from nothing into something, and I owe everything to God.
It's been a long road, but we're here now. This is a fight that the world can't miss. I'm in the gym working right now, pushing myself to the limit, because I never wanted to win a fight so bad in my life. And I'm pretty sure he's going to push himself to the limit, because he wants to win just the same way I want to win. It's all about the best, fighting the best. And everything's about timing. And you know, I think we couldn't choose a better time.
There are any number of ways to trace the origins of Mayweather-Pacquiao. But on one side, at least, everything goes back to General Santos City, the southernmost point in the Philippines, where in 1978, Emmanuel de Pedron Pacquiao was born into abject poverty. After trying to earn money for his family on the streets, he took up boxing and moved to his country's capital, Manila, where he quickly began to reap the rewards of the trade.
Pacquiao looking for the knockout blow.
And then he made another trip across the Pacific Ocean to the United States.
The first time I came to America, we ride a Greyhound bus from San Francisco to LA. At that time I met Freddie Roach, and that was the time that I met him, and we do a couple rounds of meets, and we like each other. So that's the beginning.
We just had a really good connection right away. It was like I've been doing mitts with him my whole life. He had everything. I was amazed at the speed and power together. I've seen guys fast before, and I've seen guys with power before, but never someone that had both. I knew he was special.
All right, tail of the tape. Felicianola Ledwaba against Manny Pacquiao. I'll get it right, Pacquiao.
It came just a few weeks after the fighter and trainer first met. An opportunity for Pacquiao to be a last-minute replacement in a bout against 122-pound champion Leslonolo Ledwaba. The unknown challenger offered quite the introduction.
I had never heard of Manny Pacquiao when we first saw him, and the first impression was, pow, where did that left hand come from? It was so fast, so straight, and landed with such force. He had the wow factor.
Yeah, and Joe Cortez has seen enough. That's a TKO victory for the very impressive Manny Pacquiao. Manny came into the ring and bounced him off the canvas like a basketball. I hadn't seen a fighter in a smaller weight class like that. And it was clear that for as long as it lasted, it was going to be a fun ride.
Little pivot, come on, use that pivot. That's it, good job.
Together, Pacquiao and Roach soon emerged as one of the most prominent duos in the sport. Their success rooted in a bond that was far deeper than that of teacher and student.
He's not only my trainer, he's also my advisor and like my father and like my parents. He's looking for my my future, you know, good future, not bad.
He was like my pride and joy. I didn't really focus on the rest of my stable. I had some good fighters too, but I didn't, you know, he was the most important to me.
Pacquiao made a steady march through boxing's lower weight classes. And then in 2008, an audacious plan was hatched for him to confront quite literally the biggest challenge of his career.
It's been widely reported that I was the one who came up with the idea of Pacquiao, who had moved up from the featherweight divisions to winning a lightweight title, to challenge De La Hoya, who was then fighting as a welterweight and junior middleweight. Guilty.
Once that fight was announced, people were horrified because De La Hoya was so big that Manny was going to get not only beaten, but hurt. And the press castigated me for foisting a mismatch on the public.
But when the bell rang, Pacquiao quickly set about changing the collective mindset.
When the first punch landed, the fight was over. It was just a matter of time from that point on.
Pacquiao's speed is a riddle he has not been able to solve.
This is getting embarrassing.
I was as surprised and maybe more surprised as the next guy that Pacquiao beat up De La Hoya as he did.
Manny Pacquiao is gradually reconfiguring De La Hoya's beautiful face.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that Manny Pacquiao would turn out to be the fighter that he was that night. He was tremendous. He was exciting. He was just a fighter who never stopped throwing punches.
It's done! Manny Pacquiao has beaten Oscar De La Hoya.
When he won, it was like an amazing celebration. It was like David beating Goliath. It was the story of the underdog winning. So it was really a very happy time for all Filipinos.
That win was able to catapult Manny Pacquiao into new heights.
We welcome into SportsCenter the former #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd, welcome back. We've missed you, Floyd.
Hey, how you doing? I'm not no former #1 pound-for-pound fighter. I'm just saying I'm the best fighter in the sport of boxing. No one has dethroned me, so how am I not pound-for-pound the best fighter in the world? You tell me.
Manny Pacquiao's stirring win over Oscar De La Hoya came just 6 months after another fighter had vacated his undisputed perch atop the boxing world. Floyd Mayweather's own win over De La Hoya in 2007 broke pay-per-view records and turned him into a global superstar, a status only cemented by a knockout victory over Ricky Hatton in his next bout.
Never has it been more clear who's the world's #1 pound-for-pound fighter.
No matter what they do, they cannot beat me, man. They cannot beat me, man.
But following the Hatton fight, Mayweather retired from the sport. And by the time he announced his return in the spring of 2009, the landscape had shifted. Now, there was another superstar occupying his stratosphere.
Oh my gosh, what a straight left hand. That is the most spectacular one-punch shot of Manny Pacquiao's incredible career. And there's a knockdown on a left hook.
What a performance by Floyd Mayweather.
What a return to the sport. 21 months off, and he's better than ever.
Cotto has been softened up for the kill. Pacquiao may go for it in this round. Now Kenny Bayless does his duty.
We thought Manny Pacquiao was great. He's better than we thought.
It was 2009 when Manny Pacquiao beat up Miguel Cotto. From that moment on, it was abundantly clear to the cult, serious boxing fans, that this was the #1 fight. This was the fight that had to be made. The moment that Mayweather-Pacquiao gets made, everybody knows this is going to be the biggest money fight in the history of the sport. It's an open and shut case.
Sure enough, negotiations for a historic showdown began in November 2009, with Pacquiao represented by Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions working for Mayweather. Money wasn't an issue. The two fighters would evenly split the awaiting pot of gold. But then, a major stumbling block arose.
We came together with the other side to make the Mayweather fight, and we found that there was very little points of contention. And then they raised the issue of drug testing.
In an unprecedented step, Mayweather called for random blood and urine tests to be administered by USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Agency, and conducted all the way through the night of the fight, a protocol Pacquiao strongly opposed.
Manny was scared they were going to take blood the day before the fight. And you know, the thing is, if Manny gave blood before a fight earlier in his career with me, he would be like no good for me for at least 3 days. I can say that it wouldn't bother me and so forth, and you might say it wouldn't bother you, but we know it bothered him mentally. He doesn't believe that he can win because of that. It just wasn't good for us.
It was frustrating. At the time, as a fighter, I thought, yes, this fight's gonna get made because they're both winners and champions, and that's what they do. But then, as a promoter, you start realizing, wait a minute here, this fight's gonna take a while to make because both guys have different agendas.
Talks got even more complicated after Pacquiao filed a defamation suit, claiming Mayweather and Golden Boy Promotions had falsely accused him of using performance-enhancing drugs. Negotiations continued nonetheless, with the two sides arguing over a possible compromise cutoff date for the random blood testing. And when mediation failed to resolve the impasse, the once-in-a-generation super fight was declared dead, though the true reason why was hardly universally agreed upon.
You know, the truth is, the blood testing is not that issue. Why the fight not happen? The thing is, from them, the issue why the fight don't happen. I mean, it's not our problem. It's not from us. The problem from them. And the blood testing is not issue. They just make that reason to, you know, to making alibis to not to make that fight happen.
At 6 o'clock a.m., we're ready to jog with Manny, with the champion. Yeah.
Just waiting for MP to come out. Get ready to run.
It's the Super Bowl boxing. We waited for this since I was little.
On this early morning in central Los Angeles, they'll wait past sunrise for Manny Pacquiao. But when the boxer finally appears and ambles down his front steps, the business at hand commences immediately. He can almost blend in here, as just another celebrity transplant to a town of stars. But in truth, his decade-and-a-half rise has made him one of the most famous men in the world. An icon looked to by millions as a symbol of what one man can prove possible. He arrived from the Philippines to begin his stateside training for Mayweather in early March. Bolstered as ever by an entourage notable for its size and its devotion to the fighter. And for this bout, on these mornings, the conclusions of his training runs bring out even bigger crowds from all over, desperate to be able to say they got a mere glimpse of their hero.
We left at midnight from San Francisco to get here just to see Manny. Go, Manny!
Manny is a symbol of hope to the Filipinos.
Manny Pacquiao is our national hero this time.
What's the greatest thing about it, you know? The contrast between the humbleness of Pacquiao and Mayweather's kind of flamboyant cockiness.
I believe Manny's going to win this fight. Third round, that Manny's going to knock him out.
Yes, thank you.
Each afternoon, they're more than happy to wait for him once again. He's trained at the Wildcard Boxing Club on Vine Street in Hollywood since he first came to the States. The only fighter here who gets to enjoy the benefit of valet parking. But he's also the only one whose training sessions are worthy of the attention of reporters, cameras, and microphones. While he works, he's also watched by visitors used to being watched themselves, each eager to see what materializes in the ring May 2nd.
You know, styles make fights, and if you think about the tough matchups that Floyd's had over the years, the same guys that Manny's faced, Manny's handled them, you know, decisively. So I think, you know, Manny's my guy. I mean, and Floyd is arguably one of the greatest of all time.
I want to beat these fuckers so bad.
I think everybody wants it. I'm so excited. You know, like, this is one fight where I don't want to be at a fight party. I want to be in my house alone, watch the fucking fight. I don't want to hear your fucking thoughts, your analysis. I don't want to hear shit. I just want to watch the fight and shut the fuck up.
For his part, the only thing Manny Pacquiao hopes to hear on fight night is his name announced as the victor.
I'm practicing.
2 months after negotiations for Mayweather-Pacquiao broke down in 2010, Floyd Mayweather began preparing for a new opponent, Sugar Shane Mosley. But his mind was clearly still focused on Pacquiao, who'd been named Fighter of the Decade earlier in the year.
How the fuck is a fighter of the decade if he got beaten in a decade? And I'm champion for over a decade. I'm not jealous of him because shit, look how I'm living. I don't want to live in the Philippines. It's fucked up over there. And that's not what I represent. Am I chasing Manny Pacquiao? Fuck Pacquiao. I've never known a man to turn down a $25 million drug test.
Mayweather's agreement with Mosley included, for the first time ever in a boxing match, USADA blood and urine testing.
You got the urine collector, blood collector, and the check collector.
In the fight, Mayweather was momentarily pushed.
There's a hard right hand, and that may be the hardest punch that Floyd Mayweather has taken in recent years. Mosley, another big right hand.
But he recovered and improved his perfect record to 41-0.
Another day at the office.
It was a pretty one-sided fight, so let's go to the next business at hand.
Manny Pacquiao take the blood and urine test, we can make the fight happen for all the fans.
And if he doesn't?
We don't got no fight.
Shortly after Mayweather's win, Pacquiao secured a different kind of victory.
Do hereby solemnly swear.
A seat in the 15th Congress of the Philippines, adding the title of statesman to his ever-evolving profile. Meanwhile, back in the States, a second attempt to make Mayweather-Pacquiao was underway. After the animosity of prior talks, this time, the negotiations went through HBO, where both fighters were under contract.
We were told that the other side had agreed to all the terms as we had, and we were ready to finalize the fight. When we announced this to the press, we were told by the other side that no negotiations had even ever taken place. There was no agreement. I mean, it was like Kafka's. The only logical conclusion that we could make was that the other side couldn't produce Mayweather, and Mayweather didn't want to do the fight. This is all speculation on our part, but it seems logical.
Phantom or not, the second negotiations went the way of the first, and the two sides, now even more embittered, moved on to other opponents.
You say you don't see why you were dog me around.
I want to say that I think the fight will happen someday when he comes to his senses and so forth, but I don't think he has any senses. I don't think the fight's going to happen because I think he's scared to lose.
Keep on dogging me around.
If you want to fight, let's make it happen. You don't want to fight, shut the fuck up. If he's a clean athlete, what is he hiding? If we're at the elite level, it should be elite testing. That's all I'm saying.
Defend yourself at all times.
You never give me a fair shake.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. Floyd Mayweather knew that the next question was going to be about why don't you fight Pacquiao? That's still the question.
I'm kind of tired of Floyd, to be honest with you. He's just like, you know, either shut up and fight or not. He wants to make the rules. He wants to dictate everything. We'll fight him any day of the week. Well, who the fuck's he to make the rules?
The fight the whole world wants to see. We talk about this every time. What would you like to say to Floyd Mayweather?
Make the fight happen and let's give the people a good fight. Let's get it on.
Following Pacquiao's declaration after his win over Juan Manuel Marquez in late 2011, momentum again began to build. And for new HBO Sports president Ken Hirschman, time felt of the essence.
When I started HBO in 2012, I held a meeting with the media and we were talking about a whole host of issues, and we talked about Mayweather-Pacquiao and whether there's a sell-by date, and I felt like, you know, the guys are getting up there in their career, and boxing's a very fragile sport, and somebody could lose, somebody could get injured, somebody could retire from the sport. You know, this would be the perfect time for that fight to happen.
By this point, Pacquiao had given in on all the blood testing demands, putting aside his longtime reluctance to get blood drawn before a bout. But Mayweather's offer had now changed. A flat fee, $40 million, as opposed to a 50-50 split of the fight's revenues.
I offered the motherfucker $40 million cash. He talking about he won't have them. He won't have. I'm like, I can't afford to get no motherfucker half now. I've worked too hard. I was gonna wire him $20 million within 48 hours. You tell me. He want 50-50. I said, shit, you don't want to fight then.
We've always conceded, talking with Floyd, that, okay, we'll let him have the lion's share, but you can't give us crumbs either. He made an offer of a flat fee and nothing more. That's crumbs. And then when we'd narrow the gap on the money, especially in the second and third opportunities we had to discuss with Floyd, something else would come up.
With talks going nowhere yet again, Mayweather-Pacquiao fatigue seemed to be setting in.
You know, people were getting fed up. Look, we want to see this fight. This is the fight that should happen. Why is it not happening?
I'm just saying enough's enough, because when you're hugging everybody and talking about we want to give the fans what they want to see.
Okay, yes,
we want to see Mayweather and Pacquiao, and I'm not paying for another Mayweather fight until it's against Pacquiao.
Okay.
What about the promoters' fatigue? I mean, how would you like to be me to go into a restaurant and 3 or 4 people every time would say to you, when is the fight going to happen? Will the fight happen? You know, I couldn't stand those questions after a while, because what was I going to say? And it's a blame game. So they blame this person, and then of course they blame me.
We cannot dismiss the level of acrimony that exists between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and his former promoter, Bob Arum.
Why did they blame me? Because there was nobody else left to blame.
By that summer, it had gotten even more complicated. While Mayweather remained undefeated, Pacquiao suffered his first loss in 7 years, a controversial decision to Tim Bradley.
And I think that is a terrible, bogus decision.
In the fall, Pacquiao's defamation lawsuit against Mayweather was finally resolved out of court. But then everything came crashing down on a December night in Las Vegas.
I truly believed he was dead.
I was really, really scared because he laid on the ground too long. I didn't think he was dead, but it did cross my mind.
In the houses in Metro Manila, people were crying in front of their television set. They were putting their hands, stretching their hands across the television and praying for him.
I think the knockout of Pacquiao was stunning enough that there wasn't much discussion of him fighting Mayweather in the immediate aftermath, which in itself was something we hadn't experienced. The next question is, what does he do now? Can he come back from this?
I usually get up at 6 a.m. because I like to be at the gym by 7. Now, since the big fight's here, everything's really starting to change a little bit. This is bigger than I imagined. I go to sleep thinking about the fight. I wake up thinking about the fight. I want him to fight a perfect fight because I feel he has to win.
There's nothing more invigorating for a trainer than the challenge of facing the very best. But Freddie Roach could do without everything else.
This is my doctor gave me so I can be better reminded of when to take my medication. It goes off 4 times a day. Alarm clock. First one's at 7. First pill box has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pills. Second one has 5. Third one has 6. Between having Parkinson's and my back problems, I have to take a lot of medication right now. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but every night I load this. Every morning I take these fucking things. It's something they want me to do.
Roach was first diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 25 years ago. His back problems are more recent. In the near and long-term, pain has simply become a fact of life. Dulled by the medication, yes, but also the rewards of the deepest relationship he's ever had with a fighter.
I was watching him playing basketball at his court last time I was in the Philippines, and somebody said to me, "Are you still his father figure?" And I said, "I don't think so." He said, "Why not?" I said, "I think we're more friends." He says, "Well, how come every time he shoots a basket and if he makes the basket, he looks at you?" And I didn't really notice that, you know. So then for the next 3 baskets, you know, he made them and he looked at me and I smiled and he smiled and he went on and played the game. And the guy says, "You're still his father figure by far." He says he still wants your approval.
They have entered the ring as fighter and trainer 30 times together, but their 31st bout will transcend them all.
I know what he needs to do to win this fight. I've faced this guy before. I've lost to him before. This means more to me than any other time in my life. This is a must-win situation. This is like, everything is riding on this.
At certain levels of adversity, there are no secrets to survival. If anything, life grows simpler, shedding light on the smallest victories. They, in turn, can make the biggest ones seem more possible. Since Roach opened the Wild Card Gym in 1992, he's been happy to fill it with boxers of every level from every walk of life, each of them paying $5 a day to train here. But by now, his gym has become best known as the American home of one of the world's best fighters. And these days, just about everyone would love to join Manny and Freddie in Las Vegas on May 2nd.
Everyone wants tickets, and everyone would like to go to the fight. They're not all Manny fans. I do have a bet with one guy. I have to, if Manny loses, I have to buy him a pair of Tom Ford shoes. So we have a couple bets, and a couple of people are going against me, but I think they'll pay. Quick. Under and out again.
How many times have they done this? How many more times will they be able to in the future? In their craft, there is no better form of communication than their fists. In their life together, there's no other exercise that could seal their bond so completely.
Good job.
Sometimes there's a trials in your life. Sometimes the trials comes into your life that you have to be strong. If you're not strong enough, you will fall.
Like what I said, we will rise again. Okay, thank you.
In the immediate aftermath of Pacquiao's December 2012 loss to Juan Manuel Marquez, talk of Mayweather-Pacquiao receded as the fighter focused on his congressional duties back in the Philippines. But eventually, after an 11-month layoff, he returned to the ring to face brawler Brandon Rios.
He promised to show that he was the old Manny Pacquiao. He's done all of that. His first win in 2 years.
5 months after that dominant performance, the resurrection continued when Pacquiao outfought Tim Bradley to avenge his controversial loss in their first bout.
For Manny Pacquiao to come out and virtually outclass him was kind of a re-wake-up call. And I think that's when you could start to think seriously about the fight with Mayweather coming up from the dead.
And Pacquiao himself was more than happy to encourage such talk in a television ad.
So the thing the people wanted is finally happening? Yeah. He's going to fight me? He's going to fight me? He's going to fight me! Yes, he's going to fight me! Ooh.
Are you going to tell him we're talking about the week of greatness?
Yes!
The big fight was creeping back into the public consciousness, surrounded as much as ever before by almost mystifying questions about why it hadn't yet come to fruition.
If you tried to explain it to people on the street, if you tried to introduce all the nuances of the discussion, then maybe they could get a little grasp as to why it was taking so long and seemed so difficult to make this fight. But to most people, they were simply baffled. And this makes all the sense in the world. There's a giant pile of money here. It's unbelievable how much money there is here. And they're not fighting each other? What in the world is that about?
I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need.
But what most everyone didn't know was that the wheels were already in motion to finally make the blockbuster fight a reality, though the road to an agreement was as perilous as ever. Because while Pacquiao was still exclusively aligned with Bob Arum and HBO, in 2013, Mayweather had signed a lucrative deal with rival network Showtime, owned by CBS. Then, though, as the story goes, it was the unlikely pair of Freddie Roach and a waiter he knew at a popular Hollywood restaurant who in June 2014 brought together Arum and CBS chairman Les Moonves, whose prior dealings had left them on hostile terms.
Leslie Moonves was anxious to make a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, and he said, wouldn't it be great? I said, sure, but you understand, Leslie, it has to be a co-production with HBO. Fine, no problem, and let's work along those lines.
I'm sitting there like listening to these guys negotiate, and I'm amazed. Like I said, is this really happening, you know? When they walked out of that meeting, right, and I'm walking behind them, and they had their arms around each other, I says, that fucking fight's gonna happen.
By August, Moonves and HBO chairman and CEO Richard Plepler connected. And then, along with Showtime CEO Matt Blank, began the network negotiations in the fall. In the meantime, though, both fighters needed to get past other opponents. First, in September, Mayweather outpointed Marcos Maidana to extend his unblemished record to 47-0. 2 months later, it was Pacquiao's turn. He knocked down Chris Algieri 6 times to cruise to an easy decision win, and then was happy to address the question on everyone's mind.
The fight that everyone's been talking about again is you and Floyd Mayweather. What are your thoughts about that fight right now?
He's going to fight me? Yes, yes. Yes, I mean, well, I think I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight next year for him.
If Pacquiao's words were clear, his actions were just as unequivocal. For when negotiations resumed, he agreed to accept a 40% share of the purse. This on top of his prior acquiescence to Mayweather's drug testing demands. He even found humor in his predicament, comparing it to offering a prisoner on death row his last meal.
There's a joke. There's a joke. Okay, 46 day, I agree. Okay, 46 day. And drug testing is okay. You know, when the people are sentenced by death penalty, before he got sentenced by death, you have to feed him whatever he want or what you want. Anything you want. Okay, give it, and then you get What?
Even with Mayweather fed what he supposedly desired, there were also a host of minor details to be hammered out between Arum and Mayweather's advisor, Al Heyman.
I would be willing to give up on any of those issues that didn't affect the outcome of the fight. Who the hell cares who gets announced first or second? Who cares whether it's Mayweather-Pacquiao or Pacquiao-Mayweather? Who cares in the whole scheme of things that Leonard Ellerbe welcomed everybody to the press conference and then introduced me? Who really cares about that stuff?
As the camps made progress, HBO and Showtime endeavored to do the same.
Obviously, with the fighters aligned to different networks, it just added a layer of complexity to something that was already difficult, because you had to reconcile those two networks' agendas and issues and business objectives, along with promoters and fighters and managers. But Manny gave us the mandate. It's obvious Floyd gave the mandate to his network to get this done, and we weren't going to stand in the way, and we didn't.
Arum, though, still had some lingering doubts.
I knew Leslie Moonves wanted more than anything else to make the fight. But until that strange meeting, which was happenstance only, in Miami at the Miami Heat game, I wasn't sure that Mayweather was on board.
On January 27th of this year, Pacquiao was supposed to be on a flight back to the Philippines after judging the Miss Universe competition in Miami. But the flight was canceled, giving him an extra day in town, and he decided to head to American Airlines Arena to catch the Heat-Bucks game. As luck would have it, another boxing superstar was also in the building that night.
I went up to Manny and said, "Manny, Floyd's there." Manny looked, gave him a big smile. Floyd smiled back.
I never expect that it was there. So imagine, coincidence, it's timing, it's God's way.
Michael Kahns arranged for the pair to meet on the court at halftime. It was the first time Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao had ever come face to face, and Kahns knew the scene would become a huge story.
All the press is going to run over that's here, and it's going to go worldwide. Let's get them wondering and excited and thinking, what are these guys doing together? What are they talking about? And that was promoting the fight before the fight was even made.
As the widely viewed courtside encounter wound down, phone numbers were exchanged. And in fact, a few hours later, Mayweather would call to ask if they could meet at Pacquiao's hotel.
Manny and I were both looking at each other. Why is he coming here at 1 o'clock in the morning? You know, what's his plan? We didn't give him credit that it would be that he really wanted the fight to happen.
They met in Pacquiao's suite, 909, confirming their shared interest in facing off and moving ever so close to the ultimate breakthrough.
So there was a number of things we discussed. But when Manny and Floyd were able to look each other in the eye and say they wanted it, my response was, HBO, Showtime, Top Rank, who can stop you two from fighting if you both really want it? You guys are the prize fighters. We just need to now put our foot down and make sure everybody does what we want them to do. You know, that's reasonable. And that's how we left the meeting, and I think that was very important.
Still, despite that progress, the wait over the next 3 weeks was excruciating.
Manny would keep calling me every day. Did we get the signature yet? Every day he was calling. I kept telling him, it's coming, it's coming. But I wasn't worried because I already think I figured Floyd out. I think he was making us intentionally sweat.
He was the one that had to announce the fight. We had to shut up. They told, I mean, I got like, you know, because I have a big mouth. I mean, and I talk a lot. And Aaron told me, shut the fuck up.
Finally, on February 20th, Mayweather posted a picture on social media to confirm he'd signed on the dotted line. After 5 years of so many failed negotiations, so much rhetoric back and forth, so much anticipation inside the sport and well beyond, Mayweather-Pacquiao was no longer just a fantasy.
No more excuses, no more dodging or kicking the can down the road. They're ready to kick each other's can.
I'm watching TV at the gym. ESPN was on, and I saw just like everyone in the world that they announced the fight, and I had the biggest smile on my fucking face.
Finally, everybody's excited. Me too, I'm excited. I cannot say I'm not excited, so I'm excited. Now, finally, 5 years, 6 years in the making, he has nowhere to go. His corner. That's why he can run, but he cannot hide.
At the end of the day, nothing this complicated and this big happens without a certain degree of magic. Bob Arum meets with Les Moonves. None of that happens if the waiter didn't happen to know Freddie Roach. And then you have the basketball game. And who knows whether that was ultimately the critical piece of magic or whether it's just another step along the way. But it happened. The universe wanted this fight to take place. And because the universe wanted this fight to take place, ultimately we're presented with the conclusion that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather wanted it to take place too. And we're all going to get a chance to see it. But without the magic, I don't think it would have happened.
Every day in Hollywood, every arrival is, if nothing else, proof that the improbable has become reality. While inside the gym, they work as they always have, measuring progress in invisible increments only they can glimpse.
He steps here.
Yeah.
Don't come in.
Exactly. No, sometimes because he stepped there, but he got it straight.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, he's lost before. He lost in the Olympics. He lost in the Nationals. He never won a national tournament. There's always somebody better than him. They like amateurs don't count or something like that. I mean, it's part of life. Boom! Under quick. Boom! Ah.
Sorry.
Go hit the bag.
You wouldn't want to ponder a world without fighters. You wouldn't want to ponder a world where everyone simply settled for the easy way out. There would be so much less to intrigue you, so much less to inspire you. There would be so many fewer great stories to tell.
What do you hope to achieve through boxing?
I want my countrymen unite, you know, Filipino united. I want them to be always happy. God gave me this talent. He gave me this responsibility to help people.
Describe Floyd Mayweather Jr. Born to be a champion. Dedicated, hungry, very ambitious. I don't call it cocky. I don't call it overconfidence. I call it believing.
All legendary fighters have the same simple way of rising to the top. They do the same things over and over again. It's how they cultivate their gifts. It's how they identify purpose. On May 2nd, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fight for. April 25th, it's the premiere of The Legends Speak, a unique look at Mayweather-Pacquiao as seen by boxing greats and also opponents who fought both champions. Then, 1 week later, it's the live fight, Floyd Mayweather against Manny Pacquiao, on pay-per-view May 2nd. This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.